Hey everyone, today we're just going to make a quick opportunistic video about this thing. Obviously, by now, if you've watched this channel for a bit, you know that this is a 2AR, and check it out, that's an EB60. So, a fair number of comments, and actually, not even just comments, a lot of people end up sending me emails based on the videos that I do, and ask, how the heck do I do this for so cheap? And this is how. It's not necessarily a valid thing for everybody to be doing, but I'm always looking for parts. So this thing showed up on Facebook Marketplace. The guy was asking $900 for the drivetrain out of his Scion TC that he wrecked. And it was a manual. And that's great. I contacted the guy, and I have never had something like this happen, but he said, all I have to do is come pull it myself. Wait, pull it myself? Either way, I offered him a little bit of extra money, and I just took the whole car because I didn't want to be dealing with pulling something like this in somebody's grass driveway. Just no. In the end, that probably ended up costing me just a little bit more than if I would have pulled it. But that's, this guy picked that thing clean. So in the pictures he sent me, right, there was a stereo system still left in there, a factory one that's, I could have sold for a little bit of money and so on and so forth. And I get there, and I kid you not, he's literally picking the dome light bulbs out. So needless to say, the only thing I've got out of that thing is actually just scrap. And here, actually, let's just play the video of extracting this thing out of there. So yeah, job number one, obviously, is getting that door open so I can get in and out of there. The guy I bought this from was a very skinny guy, and he actually helped us load it. He just climbed in through the sunroof, but I didn't feel like doing that. So I just pried the door open and got in, drove it to the garage. It didn't have any coolant in it, but it doesn't matter. You can run an engine for a little bit without coolant. Got it to the garage, and here we go, we'll pull it out. But let's make an opportunity out of this and actually talk about project costing as a whole. So I get a lot of people that they look at doing an engine swap, and they look at, one motor's $300 and one motor is $600. And they get it set in their mind right away that, oh, okay, well, obviously the $300 motor is the cheapest swap. I really try to convince people, like, what you need to do is make a shopping list for the whole project. And in fact, actually, if you look in the description, I've got a shopping list for the 2GR in the second gen MR2 project. And you know what? There isn't one for the third gen as of this video going live, but I will make one that matches kind of that second gen, and there'll be a link in the description. Maybe not when the video goes live, but within a couple days. But essentially, what you end up finding is the cost of the motor really has very little to do with the cost of the final swap. Unless you're pulling a 700 horsepower Hellcat motor to swap into something and you're having to pay $12,000 for it, or actually I don't even know what the going rate is for a motor like that. Unless it's something like that, the cost of your motor is going to be just a small fraction. And the truth is, you need to look at the whole thing. And right now, one of the things I'm getting a lot of feedback about is this transmission. So this transmission, ever since I made the third gen swap available, has become a little bit rare. The supply wasn't great to begin with, and now that there's a use for it, well, here we are. But they cost $2,000, which now you can see actually why I bought this thing, why I hopped on it, right? Because I paid for the whole car less than half the price of the transmission. And then the other big issue I see people getting caught up in is they buy things in the wrong order. So you end up with this shopping list, and part of your shopping list is commodity parts, and part of your shopping list is rare or hard to get parts. And what I see a lot of people do is they start by buying the engine. I don't care if it's the 2AR or the 2JR or the 1MZ, 3VZ, whatever. Toyota or whatever your manufacturer of choice makes these things by the millions. Finding the engine is not the critical thing. If you've got, to get this swap to happen, if there's a bracket or a widget that's just made by one guy on a forum on the internet somewhere, if you're not the kind of person that can fabricate, you know that not having that bracket is going to kill the project. So that means the second thing you should do right after figuring out your budget is buy those rare parts, because if you can't get those rare parts, it doesn't matter if you get an engine for $100 instead of $1,000, you're still not going to be able to swap it in. So make sure you pick up the rare parts first. And unfortunately, one of the things I'm out of stock on headers right now for the 2GRs. And I really hate that I am, and I will get more stock, but the number of emails I get daily from people that say, hey, I finally bought my motor and I'm ready to buy the kit. It says you're out of stock. Well, why did you buy the part that had literally millions of before buying the part that there's 10 or 20 on a shelf at a time? Anyways, I realize that sounds like it's kind of self-serving, but this applies to any project whatsoever. If there's a rare one-off part, buy that first. I can't stress that enough. And it doesn't matter if it's the most expensive part or if it's the cheapest part. You just need to buy it in order of priority based on availability. And then from there, you also need to, the other thing you need to figure out is based on your budget. So if you want to do, let's say you want to swap this into a third gen, right? So that's, well, it used to be about a $5,000 swap, but now with the price of the transmission up by about $1,000, it's about a $6,000 swap. If you don't have $6,000, and that's fine. As you can see here, we saved a whole bunch of money, and frankly, if I were to take more time on that car, I could separate the aluminum out from the steel, and I could get more money from the recycler. Normally, you can take interior panels and whatnot, and the good panels on the outside, and you can sell those, and you get a taillight that's good or a headlight that's good, you sell those, and honestly, you can usually get your entire drivetrain for free, but that's going to be your next thing. So if it's going to be required for you to actually be able to get the drivetrain for cheaper than market rate in order to be able to finish the swap, that should be the second thing you do. And I mean, I say second, really, it should probably be consecutive. But if you don't have the budget to be able to do it otherwise, that becomes a critical path item. So you need to get that out of the way first or second. But if you don't have the budget to do it otherwise, I mean, now you've got a critical path item, right? So you need to do that. And really buying a donor and taking it apart is a great way to go. So the video that you're seeing right now is just, it took me about 3.5 hours. And as you can see, my son was helping, so that slowed things down a little bit. But it doesn't take very long, especially if you're not looking to get every last penny out of this, right? Like, I don't have to get every last penny out of that. I still got what should be, at the pick and pull, $260 engine and a $2,000 transmission for about $1,000. And I'm going to turn in that carcass, and you know what? I don't know exactly what the rates are today, but I will probably get about $200 for it. Unless rates are way down, then it might be as low as $120, but it should be at least that much, which will bring my cost on the drivetrain even further down yet. There's also, I pulled out the ECU out of the car, right? So when you're buying that, you'd be able to apply that towards the core charge on the ECU, saving even more money. You can even get a couple gallons of gas out of the gas tank. Put it in your lawnmower. You saved a couple more bucks there. Yeah, overall, the big thing to take away from this is when you're planning one of these projects, especially if you're budget conscious, you need to make sure that you understand your whole budget, not just the cost of your engine. Too many projects end up being forever jack stand projects because people don't understand the whole price of everything together. So that means, yeah, I really need to get that shopping list up for the third gen because it would help everybody out. So yeah, I'll try to get that done soon. So I don't have a plan for this thing right away, but as I'm planning on pushing things further and further, it's just a question of time before I pop a motor or two. And as we've learned with this thing, so this is the 10.8 to 1 compression, 10.4 to 1 compression ratio engine. And there is no knock at all. So maybe we'll throw some boost down this thing's throat. Honestly, I really don't have any plans for it yet. It's just, I'm going to fog the cylinders, make sure that there's oil in all there, and it's just going to sit in the corner over there probably for 3, 4, 5 months until I get around to doing something with it. So anyways, all right, nice simple video today. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Bye. All right. So how good do you think that is for performance? At some point along the way, this thing swallowed a plastic bag. Oh, that's funny.